Malcolm X was the most fortunate civil rights activist, the spiritually guided one, the fearless activist, the truthful one who didn't cease to speak about his criminal life, which was imposed on him by white people through the suffering that Afro-Americans were going through in those days. Malcolm X lived with three names, three religions, each name for each religion. Malcolm Little, Malcolm X, and el-Hajj Malik el-Shabazz, Christianity, Nation of Islam, and Sunni Islam respectively. He lived from impoverished child, criminal, Nation of Islam, and Orthodox Islam. Malcolm X was born on 19th May 1925 in Omaha, Nebraska. His mother's name was Luce Little, while his father's name was Al Little, a Baptist preacher. He was born into a religious home because his father was a follower of Marcus Garvey, one of the pioneers of civil rights activism for the freedom and independence of Afro-Americans. His father was murdered in 1931 by Ku Klux Klan (KKK) when Malcolm X was just 6 years old. The shock from the death of his father affected the brain of his mother. Therefore, his mother was committed to mental institution in 1937 when Malcolm X was 12 years old. She was there for 26 years. With absence of parents, Malcolm X and his siblings were living in different orphanage and foster homes. Malcolm X was an intelligent and brilliant boy. While in school, the English teacher asked him in 1939 what he wanted to become when he grows up. He responded that he wanted to be a lawyer. The teacher told him that as a black boy, he should think of becoming a laborer or carpenter. A black man can become a lawyer. By 1940, at the age of 15, he dropped out of school at grade 6. He moved to Boston and lived with his half-sister. He was doing many jobs in Boston. He started engaging in crime, stealing, gambling, selling drugs, and sleeping with white girls. He was arrested in 1946 and jailed for 8 to 10 years on each count of the crime he committed. The life in prison wasn't good. He said he was living like an animal initially before he later cultivated the habit of reading. He struggled to read many topics: history, philosophy, science, literature, religion, and other relevant topics that made him to be a knowledgeable person. In fact, he memorized the entire English dictionary right there in incarceration. He wrote many articles on different topics. He used to hide books for guards in order not to see him or seize the book from him. Self-education helped him better than university education. He was grounded in knowledge while in prison. Malcolm turned lemon to lemonade. He turned prison to university and came out as a well-read person in different topics. His brother sent letters to him in prison and informed him about the Nation of Islam led by Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He joined Nation of Islam in prison and wrote letters to its leader. Nation of Islam was a social reformer organization advocating for the rights of Negro, the black people, Afro-American. Nation of Islam is a fashion of Islam designed to suit their activism ideology. It is neither the Sunni Islam nor Orthodox Islam. Nation of Islam copies more aspects of morality and spirituality from Islam. As a member of Nation of Islam, you don't eat pork, don't smoke, don't drink alcohol, and don't commit adultery or fornication. All these are worthy of exposure. In other words, any member who engages in those prohibited should be exposed no matter the position of the person. Malcolm X used to say after he joined the Nation of Islam, he didn't smoke, drank alcohol, ate pork, and slept with any woman out of wedlock. Even FBI confirmed that Malcolm X was a saint compared to other activists. Malcolm changed his name from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X as a member of the Nation of Islam. He believed his surname Little was the name of slave master of his grandfather. He was released from prison in 1955. As a free man, he traveled to Detroit, Michigan, and worked with Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam. He was appointed as minister in Temple No. 7 in Harlem and Temple 11 in Boston. He became spokesman for Nation of Islam. He was an articulate, passionate, and inspirational speaker. The Nation of Islam grew from 500 members to 4,000 members by 1960 under his watch. He established a newspaper called Muhammad Speaks in 1960. He was accused of promoting violence because he encouraged black people to defend themselves against aggression of whites by any means necessary. He was being criticized by Martin Luther King Jr. because King believed in non-violence, which was the ideology of Mahatma Gandhi of India. King was pacifist, yet Malcolm X didn't have gun, even though he commanded black people to defend themselves by any means necessary. On 14 January 1958, Malcolm X married Dr. el-Shabazz, and the marriage that lasted for 7 years produced 6 daughters. On 22nd November 1963, the American President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Malcolm X made a comment that chicken is getting to the roost. The statement created a lot of controversy. Newspaper carried it. Malcolm X, the spokesman of Nation of Islam, made such statement on the assassination of John F. Kennedy. The assassin made Malcolm X to be suspended for 9 months as spokesman of Nation of Islam. Elijah Muhammad had warned that nobody should make any comment on the assassination of President Kennedy. Malcolm X was not satisfied with the suspension and considered it as injustice. He believed he should be able to say anything he liked on the government that was promoting white supremacy and oppressing the black people. For that reason, he decided to leave Nation of Islam. Something strange happened. It was exposed that the leader of Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, committed crime worthy of exposure. He had impregnated many teenage secretaries of Nation of Islam. Malcolm X was surprised that their leader was not practicing what he was preaching. He visited those girls with children for confirmation. In fact, one of the sons of Elijah Muhammad, Waris D. Muhammad, told Malcolm X about the adultery his father committed. As a devoted man, Malcolm X decided to exit from the Nation of Islam, where the leader was acting contrary to what he was professing. In 1964, someone told Malcolm X that Nation of Islam was not the real Islam. If he wanted to know about real Islam, he would sponsor him on pilgrimage to Mecca. He agreed to go to Mecca. When he got to Mecca, he felt like a fool, an acclaimed Muslim who knew nothing about Islam. He took his shahada and said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the prophet and messenger of Allah. He was taught how to perform all Islamic rites, ablution and washing after cohabitation. He sent a letter home, America, to his wife and talked about what he witnessed in Mecca, which absent in American community. He said, during the past 11 days here in Muslim world, I have eaten from the same plate, drunk from the same glass, and slept on the same bed while praying to the same God with fellow Muslims, whose eyes were the bluest of blue, whose hair was the blondest of blonde, and whose skin was the whitest of white. And in the words and in deeds of the white Muslim, I felt the same sincerity that I felt among the black African Muslims of Nigeria, Sudan, and Ghana. He also wrote, America needs to understand Islam because this is the only religion that erases the race problem. Islam taught Malcolm X wisdom, tolerance, and love of all human beings as he witnessed in Mecca. Islam metamorphosed him totally from darkness of disbelief to the light of Islamic Monotheism. He dropped the idea of black supremacy taught him by Nation of Islam. He believed there was no race in Islam. He also said the cause of white supremacy is ignorance and greed. Malcolm X changed his name to el-Hajj Malik el-Shabazz after he performed Hajj in Mecca. This name change reflected his spiritual rebirth and commitment to a broader global struggle for justice. He became sinless just like a baby after performing the Hajj. On his way coming back from Mecca, he visited some countries. He alleged CIA trying to assassinate him 7 times and poison him 3 times, but Allah saved him from their plots. After he got back to America, he established Organization of Afro-American Unity, OAU. He delivered speech as Muslim who saw every race as one. He dropped the belief in white supremacy, segregation, and black supremacy as taught by Elijah Muhammad, which is the belief of Nation of Islam. In Mecca, Malcolm X befriended a Sudanese called Sheikh Ahmad Assun, who taught in Mecca for 35 years. Eventually served as Malcolm X's spiritual advisor and later taught at the Muslim Mosque Incorporation, which Malcolm created 4 days after his departure from the Nation of Islam in 1964. Malcolm X received many death threats from the members of Nation of Islam because of all he was saying about his leader Elijah Muhammad. In fact, a week before his assassination, his house was burned down by Nation of Islam. Malcolm X was a fearless civil rights leader. He used to say, "The price for the freedom is death." Mike Wallace asked him during an interview, "Are you not afraid what will happen to you as a result of all this revelation coming from you?" He responded, "Oh yes, I'm probably a dead man already." He believed that his dear life will be sacrificed for the freedom of black people and propagation of Orthodox Islam. On 24 February 1965, at the Audubon Ballroom, el-Hajj Malik was assassinated when he stood on the podium to deliver a speech at the presence of two of his daughters and his pregnant wife. It was Sheikh Ahmad Asun, his spiritual mentor, who prepared his body for burial at the Faith Temple Church of God in West Harlem, where he lay in state and oversaw his burial. A few months later, his wife delivered twins, making the children he left behind 6. He died as a Muslim. He died as a martyr. His death made over 3 million Americans curious about Islam and embrace the Sunni Islam. May Allah forgive and shower His blessings on the soul of el-Hajj Malik el-Shabazz. These are the lessons you are going to learn from the story of el-Hajj Malik el-Shabazz. There was conspiracy in the assassination of Malcolm X. Only Allah knows who masterminded the assassination. Number 2, it doesn't matter the religion you are born in, but never die unless you are a Muslim. Malcolm X was born into Christianity, but later joined the Nation of Islam, which is not Orthodox Islam, but heretic. 3 months to leave this world, Allah made him to see the light of Islam and died as Muslim. You are not a believer in God until you embrace Islam wholeheartedly. Number 3, you need to fear Allah more than your benefactor. Some people refuse to embrace Islam because their benefactor are still practicing another religion except Islam. Those that you fear will not be in the same grave with you. You are not bearing the same name, and on the day of resurrection, they will abandon you. Embrace the truth of Islam for the sake of eternal bliss in paradise. Number 4, he propagated Islam while living. Even his assassination was a form of eye-opening for 3 million people to discover the light of Islam in America. Number 5, those who say Malcolm X was an ingrate to Elijah Muhammad, what are you going to say about Fir'aun and Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wasalam? Prophet Musa was adopted son of Fir'aun, and he was the one that caused the miserable death of Fir'aun. Truth has no respect for anyone. Even if your parents are unbeliever, you have to disobey them the way Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ did to his father. Number 6, Malcolm X's activism was beyond the soul of America. He condemned apartheid government of South Africa and oppression of Palestinians by Israel. Number 7, he was Pan-Africanist. He fought and advocated for the right, freedom, justice, unity, and independence of Afro Americans and integration to African countries. Number 8, Elijah Muhammad said Malcolm X died as a result of consequence of violence he was preaching. What are you going to say about the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., who believed in non-violence? That question needs answer for those who believe in the first sentence. Number 9, Malcolm X was a saint according to FBI. He did speak about his criminal life, which he detested, and never involved in crime after he joined the Nation of Islam till he died. He said, "It is not a disgrace to be a criminal, but it is a disgrace to remain a criminal." He didn't behave like those who speak in public as activists, but do bad things behind closed doors. Number 10, Louis Farrakhan believes that Malcolm X was a traitor. He left the Nation of Islam and said bad things about Elijah Muhammad, his benefactor. Minister Louis Farrakhan, what are you going to say about Waris de Muhammad, the son of Elijah Muhammad, who condemned the cheating of his father and embraced Orthodox Islam? He left the Nation of Islam, left the leadership for you. Malcolm X, your first teacher, should be the person to be emulated at your whole day and embrace Sunni Islam with your follower for the sake of eternal bliss in paradise. Truth has no duplicate. Islam is the only religion endorsed by Allah, and Islam needs to be practiced the way the Prophet ﷺ practiced it, by following Quran and its tradition. May Allah continue to guide you and I on the straight path. Thanks for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.